And sometimes, the most iconic names hide someone who started in the back room. Long before the world recognized the name Ralph Lauren, long before the famous polo pony stitched itself onto preppy shirts and tailored suits, there was a quiet, skillful hands-on sewing machines. An unknown tailor in a modest New York workshop who could make fabric come alive. He wasn't famous. His name wouldn't appear on labels. And yet, without him, the empire of Ralph Lauren as we know it might never have been built. And sometimes, all it takes is one bold idea and one pair of hands to make it real. That visionary was Ralph Lifshitz, a young Thai salesman who decided to change his name and chase a bigger dream. He had grand ideas about style in America, but his designs existed mostly in his head. And that's when he found him. The tailor who could cut, stitch, and craft the first few prototypes that would one day become legendary. This quiet craftsman was not a businessman. He was a maker, someone who had learned the value of every perfect seam. And sometimes, the people who work behind the scenes shape history. While Ralph Lauren was making connections and showing his vision to buyers, this unknown tailor was the one transforming sketches into something wearable. Shirts that fit like a dream, ties that hung just so, blazers that felt timeless. Every stitch was careful, every fabric chosen with thought. And though most customers would never know his name, his hands were on every garment that began to define the Ralph Lauren aesthetic, one that would soon take the world by storm. And sometimes, one perfect garment can change everything. By the late 1960s, Ralph Lauren was preparing for his first real collection, one that could introduce his name to a much larger world. But great ideas mean nothing without perfect execution. That's where the tailor came in again. Night after night, he worked long hours in a small workshop, cutting fabric and assembling pieces that would fit exactly the way Ralph imagined. He refined every lapel and every hem until the clothes felt like they had been made for the future, not just for the present. And when that collection finally hit the racks, it wasn't just Ralph Lauren who had created a style. It was this unknown tailor who had brought it to life. And sometimes, an empire grows, one careful stitch at a time. As Ralph Lauren became a household name and his company expanded across America and beyond, the tailor remained in the background, hands always moving, eyes always focused. While Ralph was gracing magazine covers and shaking hands at parties, this quiet craftsman was creating the looks that would make everyone want a piece of the dream. Button-down shirts that became staples, jackets that embodied effortless style. Even as the company scaled up and more machines took over the craft, his influence could still be seen and felt in every perfect detail. Act 6, The Invisible Legacy. And sometimes, the most important contributions are never spoken aloud. By the 1980s and 1990s, Ralph Lauren was a billion-dollar brand. But the tailor who had been there from the earliest days rarely appeared in interviews, never sought the spotlight. He wasn't driven by fame. He was driven by the satisfaction of making something well. And in every piece bearing that polo player logo, in every suit that draped just right, and every shirt that fit like it was tailored to its wearer, you could see his legacy. Silent, enduring, and stitched into the very fabric of one of America's most iconic brands. Act 7, a legacy stitched into every seam. And sometimes greatness doesn't wear a label. It lives in the work itself. Years passed, the world kept spinning, and Ralph Lauren became more than a brand. He became a symbol of aspirational American style, But deep beneath the glossy ads, behind every crisp polo and tailored blazer, the hands of that unknown tailor were still there. His skill woven into every fold and collar, every stitch that held a garment together. And though he never stood on a runway or posed for a magazine cover, his legacy was real. His craft was alive in millions of closets across the world. And in every quiet detail of the clothes people loved, you could still feel the touch of someone who dedicated his life to making something beautiful. Seat 8, the unseen art of creation. And if one nameless artisan could shape a global empire, imagine what you can do. That's the real story behind Ralph Lauren. Not just a name, but the sum of countless hands and hearts like this tailor's. People who believe that excellence doesn't need applause. It just needs care. And as you hold that next garment, whether it's a shirt, a jacket, or a pair of jeans, pause for a moment. And remember, behind every perfect seam lies the touch of someone who gave it their all. A reminder that some of the most powerful contributions go unrecognized, but never unfelt. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of all.